Omalicha was beautiful, she was clever, and to the people of 10 different villages, she was a loving wife. That's right. For years, she kept 10 husbands and 10 homes, and not a single one of them knew the others existed. Her laugh could draw men to her, like moths to a flame, but behind her soft, friendly eyes, she kept secrets as dark as the deep woods. In one village, she was the good wife of a hard-working farmer. In another, the loved wife of a rich trader. Each man believed he was her one and only, a secret she whispered just to him. This is the story of how her perfect world of lies, built with just charm and big dreams, came crashing down. Hit the subscribe button now to enjoy more African folklore tales. Omalicha's story doesn't start with greed. It starts with the pain of having nothing. Years ago, a sudden fever went through her village and took her parents, leaving her completely alone. With no family to speak for her and no land to her name, she learned a hard lesson. In a world that was easier for men, a woman to survive often had to be smarter than everyone else. Her beauty was the only thing she had left, and she decided to use it as both a shield and a sword. Her first husband, Chik, lived in the village of Umuike, a place famous for its rich yam harvests. Chiko was a kind, strong farmer. His hands were rough from work, but his heart was gentle. He was charmed by Omalicha the moment he saw her at the market, her smile as bright as the morning sun. He saw a partner, a woman to build a life with. When he asked for her hand, Omalicha agreed, her voice as soft as shea butter, promising him loyalty and a home filled with laughter. For the first few months, she was the perfect wife. She learned the ways of Umuke, the names of the elders, and her new husband's favorite foods. Chike was very happy. He'd come back from the fields to find food waiting, his home clean, and his wife's beautiful smile. He felt like the luckiest man in the world. But Omalicha's mind was always working, always planning. She noticed how Chiki, like most farmers, was tied to his land. He rarely traveled, always busy with planting and harvesting. She also noticed the long weeks he'd spent clearing new farmland, often sleeping in a small hut far from home. It was during one of those trips that a new idea began to grow. She told Chike that her aunt, her mother's only sister, had fallen terribly ill in the far-off village of Ogbire. Her voice was so full of sorrow, her eyes so heavy with worry, that Chike didn't hesitate. "Go," he told her. "Family is the root of our tree. Don't come back until she is well." He gave her a small pouch of coins for the journey, pressing it into her hand with a loving squeeze. But Omalicha didn't go to Ogbire. There was no sick aunt. She traveled in the opposite direction, to the river village of Miriaku. There, she introduced herself not as a married woman, but as a trader's daughter who had fallen on hard times. The story was a clever mix of truth and lies, just believable enough. In Miriaku, she met her second husband, a fisherman named Ezenwa. He was a proud, loud man, his laugh as strong as the river during a storm. He was drawn to Omalicha's quiet and graceful way, seeing it as a calming presence for his wild spirit. He promised her a life of comfort, a house filled with the best fabrics and jewelry. She married him, and her new life began. Her life became a secret pattern she was weaving, and she wove two different lives together using perfectly timed lies. To Chike, the farmer, her long trips were to care for her sick aunt, a story that only made him feel sorry for her. To Ezenwa, the fisherman, she explained she was a trader of rare herbs, a business that made her travel for weeks at a time. Since Ezenwa himself was often gone for days on the river, her trips seemed perfectly normal. At first, It was just about survival. One husband gave her yams, the other gave her fish. But as she moved between her two homes, a different kind of hunger started to grow. It was like tasting fine wine after a lifetime of drinking only water. Just surviving wasn't enough anymore. She wanted to be rich. With two husbands providing for her, Omalicha's big dreams grew even bigger. The more husbands she had, the more wealth she could gather. Her life became like a complicated dance, and each husband was a partner who didn't know the real steps. She was like the leader of a band, making sure her husbands never met. Her third husband was Ifeanyi, a hunter from the forest village of Anku. Omalicha came to him as a widow, looking for the quiet of the forest to heal her heart. As a man who liked to be alone, Ifeanyi was drawn to her quiet sadness. To her other husbands, she explained these new trips as visits to a spiritualist to ask for blessings to have children, a lie that only made them feel even more sorry for her. From Chike, she got yams. From Ezenwa, smoked fish. From Ifeanyi, fine animal skins. She set up a hidden storehouse, trading her goods for cowries, cloth, and gold. Her wealth grew, completely hidden from the world. She perfected her act, changing who she was for each husband like a chameleon changes its colors to match the forest floor. With Chike, she was the simple farmer's wife. With Ezenwa, the elegant trader's wife. With Ifeanyi, the quiet woman of the forest. She never mixed up their names or stories. Her mind was a strong fort, full of organized lies, and she felt no love for any of them. Just a cold success from her own cleverness. But a wall built on lies is easily broken, and the first crack in her perfect wall was a song. A traveling musician had performed at a festival in Umuike, where he saw Chike's beautiful wife. Weeks later, in Miriaku, he saw the same woman with Ezenwa the fisherman. He made up a fun song about it, the two faces of the river lily. No one connected the dots, but to Omalicha, it was like the first sign of a big disaster. The real danger, however, started closer to home. In Umuike, Chike's sister Nkechi grew suspicious. "If your aunt is so ill," she asked, "why do you return with the smell of smoked fish on your clothes?" In Miriaku, Ezenwa's cousin saw a woman who looked exactly like Omalicha selling animal skins. A strange item for an herb trader. Omalicha dodged their questions and made up new lies. But the seeds of doubt were planted. The pressure was growing. She had to handle not just husbands, but their suspicious family members. Her most terrifying close call happened on the main trade road. Traveling from Ifeanyi's village, she saw Chike walking towards her. Panic grabbed her. Thinking fast, she ducked behind a huge baobab tree, hiding her face. Chike walked right past, never noticing. She leaned against the tree, gasping for air. It was like she had been walking a tightrope 100 feet in the air and had just looked down for the first time. She finally felt just how high she had climbed, and how terrible the fall would be. The whispers started quietly, but like bits of string carried by the wind, the stories about this beautiful woman started to come together. As they did, they started to form a single, unbelievable picture. The description was always the same: a woman of amazing beauty, with a smile that could charm a king. In Umuike, the elders started paying attention. Chike's sister had shared her doubts. One of the elders, Onyeka, had heard the musician's song and market gossip about a hunter in Inku who had married a mysterious widow. "A woman cannot be in two places at once," Onyeka said to the council. "But it seems this Omalicha is trying to." They decided to investigate quietly. They sent out questions through trusted family members in Miriaku and Nuku, asking about the wives of Chike the farmer, Ezenwa the fisherman, and Ifeanyi the hunter. The pieces clicked into place like a key, turning in a lock, showing the truth of her lies. Omalicha's visits to her sick aunt lined up perfectly with her time as Cheek's wife. Her herb trading trips matched the periods she spent with Ezenwa. Her spiritual trips lined up with her life with Ifeanyi. It was a perfect interlocking web of lies. The elders were shocked but also a little impressed. "She has used our trust as her shield," one elder mumbled. "She has used the long distance between our villages as her best weapon. But how could they expose her without causing chaos? She had to be punished, but they had to be careful. They needed to solve the problem without creating a total disaster." After much thought, the elders made a plan that would use Omalicha's own cleverness to trap her. They would use the Great New Yam Festival. They sent formal invitations to the elders and important families of Miriaku and Nkwu. Most importantly, they sent personal invitations to Ezenwa and Ifeanyi. There was no mention of Omalicha. The trap was set. They were setting a public stage and bringing all the main people together, with the truth as the bait. The elders knew Omalicha would be at the festival in Umuiki, standing by Chike's side. And right into that scene, her other two husbands would walk, as honored guests. Omalicha's own creation would be the tool that would cause it all to be destroyed. The day of the New Yam Festival started bright and clear. The air in Umuike was alive with the sound of drums and the smell of roasting yams. Omalicha was in her element, standing beside Chike, looking graceful and beautiful. She felt safe and secure in public. Then, as the midday sun reached its highest point, the guest groups began to arrive. Omalicha watched until her blood turned to ice. Walking among the group from Miriaku was Ezenwa, her second husband. His loud laugh cut through the festival noise. A cold, sharp panic shot through her. She quickly turned away, hoping he wouldn't spot her. She risked a look and saw Ezenwa being seated with the honored guests, directly across from Chike. The two men were separated by only 50 feet, yet worlds apart, with no idea about each other. Just as she was starting to catch her breath, another group entered the square. The group from the forest village of Nkwu. And leading them, his presence as serious and tall as the trees of his home, was Ifeanyi, her third husband. Omalicha felt the ground shift beneath her. This wasn't a coincidence. It was a nightmare made real. All three of her husbands were here. At the same time, the drumming, once a sound of celebration, now pounded in her head like a death sentence. The end came surprisingly fast. Ezenwa walked over to greet a trader near Chika's family. As he got closer, his eyes fell on Omalicha. His face broke into a wide, loving smile. "Omalicha, my wife," he yelled, his voice carrying over the whole crowd. The words struck the celebration silent, like a drum that was suddenly broken. Every head turned. A shocked silence fell. Chike, who had been laughing a second before, froze. He looked from Ezenwa to Omalicha, his face a look of complete confusion. "Your wife?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. "This is Omalicha, my wife." Before Ezenwa could respond, Ifeanyi stepped forward. His eyes were locked on Omalicha. "She is also known in my village," he said, his voice calm but heavy. "There, she is my wife." Cheek's confused question and Ifeanyi's calm words were like two more hammer hits, shattering the fake reality. The three statements hung in the air, as final as a judge's decision. A gasp went through the crowd. 3 men, 3 husbands, 1 wife. Omalicha stood frozen in the center of the storm. The faces of her husbands became a blur before her. Chike's, filled with deep hurt and betrayal. Ezenwa's, shifting from joy to angry confusion. And Ifeanyi's, dark with a cold, quiet rage. Her complicated web of lies had not just fallen apart. It had become a net that trapped her for all to see. In that moment of pure, terrible truth, Omalicha fell to her knees. The world she had built with such care had crumbled into dust around her. As Omalicha knelt in the dust, the celebration died. The three men who had called her wife stood like statues, their shared shame a wound everyone could see. Chike looked as if his world had been torn apart. Ezenwa shook with rage, and Ifeanyi just stared, his eyes terrifyingly empty. It was the elder, Onyeka, who finally broke the spell. "Let this day be a lesson," he declared. "A lie may build a house, but it has no foundation. The truth, like the rain, will always find a way through the cracks." The villagers turned their backs on Omalicha. The men who once admired her now spat on the ground as she passed. She, who had known 10 homes, was now homeless. She, who had gathered wealth from 10 husbands, was now a beggar. She begged for forgiveness, but the trust she had broken couldn't be repaired. Her spirit, once so brave, was crushed. Not long after, Omalicha died. Some said it was from a broken heart. Others said it was from the shame that ate her up inside. The story says the poison of her lies infected the 3 husbands. They became bitter enemies, their shared shame acting like a wall between them, and bad things seemed to follow them for the rest of their days. But Omaleko's story didn't end with her death. It grew into a legend, her life becoming like a river that makes a new path in people's memories. The truth turned into a folktale, its details changing each time it was told. Some said she had husbands in 10 different villages, not just 3. Others swore she used magic. Her name, Omalicha, which means beautiful one, became a strange thing, both a compliment and a curse. And so, the legend of Omalicha lives on, a reminder for all time that the traps we set for others can become our own prisons, and that a life built on lies, no matter how beautiful, is sure to come crashing down. Thank you for listening. The story of Omalicha is a powerful reminder of where lying can lead. What lessons do you take from her rise and fall? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story and want to hear more tales like it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss what's next. Store the script above, as I will be making further requests on it.